Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Memorial service held for late CEO of Grace Kennedy Limited, Don Wehby. Office of the Governor General denies Election Day proclamation document making its rounds on social media. And later in sports, Christopher Samuda returns as JOA president. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kerry Simpson. Here are the details. Members of the business community, government officials and well-wishers gathered this morning at the Holy Trinity Cathedral for the Thanksgiving Mass for the late CEO of Grace Kennedy Limited, Don Wehby. Mr. Wehby died on July 26 after a long period of illness.
A government senator and minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, serving until 2009. And departing from my script briefly, I served in that cabinet with Don. That's how I actually got to know him personally. And it was really, for me, as a younger politician then, it was an amazing thing to see someone leave the private sector to come and serve in government. And I inquired of him why he did it. And his response stuck with me. He said he wanted to help his nation.
DW, as I called him, was not just my predecessor, my former boss. He was a mentor, a colleague, and a friend. I'm grateful for the impact he had on my career, but also on me as an individual. And while I was privileged to work closely with him, the truth is, Don had a way of connecting with team members at all levels within the organization.
The Office of the Governor General is this afternoon denying that a document claiming to be the proclamation by the Governor General to suspend Parliament and appoint an election date that named the incorrect date for the poll came from King's House. Details in this report.
The document named Thursday, September 3, 2025 as Election Day instead of Wednesday, September 3 as announced by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness on Sunday. In a release posted to the King's House website, the Governor General's office said the correct information was published in the Jamaica Gazette supplement dated Monday, August 11, 2025, which is the government's official means of informing the public on such matters. The publication also indicated that Parliament will be dissolved tomorrow, August 15. The GG's office states that a proclamation by the Governor General to prorogue Parliament and appoint an election date is not issued to the general public, but instead sent directly to the Parliament of Jamaica and the Jamaica Printing Services, which are the entities to effect it. The office has cautioned against sharing of information that could misrepresent the facts or cause confusion in the electoral process. Anthony Atkinson, TVJ News.
The law firm Knight, Jr. and Samuels has written to the JLP campaign chairman, Dr. Christopher Tufton, demanding a public retraction of a recording played at a JLP meeting. In the recording, retired legislator K.D. Knight was heard expressing no confidence in PNP President Mark Golding's leadership. Attorney Bert Samuels claims the audio was manipulated and has given Dr. Tufton until 11 a.m. on Friday, August 15, to issue a retraction and apology approved by both legal teams, sent to all media houses and posted on the JLP's social media pages. Now, the firm says a retraction could help limit damage to Mr. Knight's reputation, but would not prevent legal action and are open to negotiating a settlement with Dr. Tufton's attorneys. The case involving Councillor for the White Horses Division Hubert Williams has been postponed until October. The matter was mentioned, or rather called for mention, in the St. Thomas Parish Court yesterday. Details in this report. Mr. Williams and 3 other PNP activists are before the court after being slapped with charges for assault and obstruction of justice following an incident in Danvers Pen in July. Mr. Williams has maintained his innocence, contending that he was merely trying to assist a mentally ill man who was allegedly being assaulted by the police. Attorney Deborah Martin is part of the defense team.
All 4 persons who are before the court, of a crowd of persons who were all raising their voice. We have the current past mayor, the current candidate for the People's National Party. We have a justice of the peace. We have a pastor. And we have a businessman who is a senior and a responsible person for decades within the community. They are the ones who are before the court. They're the ones who all spoke up with a view to alerting the police officer that the man that you're beating with the baton is a person of unsound mind. One officer in his statement acknowledges that the justice of the peace, the lone female who is before the court, the person who has been a candidate for councillor, she did say to him that he is a person who is not mentally well.
She says the defense team has requested a copy of the report the police say they received, which caused them to take action. However,
the clerk is not in possession of that. She's not expecting those persons to come forward. Nothing to support that report that the police say they received that initiated what had transpired. One of the things that we intend to do is to go check those station diaries ourselves to see if there's anything anywhere in the records to support what the officers are saying is the genesis of this matter.
She further expressed concern about inconsistencies in the statements produced by the police and how the accused were summoned.
The summonses were served when the parties were with the senior superintendent for the parish having discussions, because these are individuals who have had, by their very work, their commitment to civic duties, their engagement with their communities, have had a long-standing relationship with the senior superintendents of this parish. They were actually in a meeting.
In addition to the statements provided by the accused, Ms. Martin says the defense team is also in possession of video and audio evidence. They're to return to court on October 9. Attorneys for Mayor of Kingston, Andrew Wheby, have asked the Director of Elections, Glasspool Brown, to halt making any arrangements for a by-election in the Seafright Gardens Division until he consults with their client. The mayor insists proper protocols, that is, were not followed when the Prime Minister announced the by-election on Sunday. He says while he has seen Councillor Delroy Williams' resignation letter dated August 8, he has not had the opportunity to consult with the EOJ director for an appropriate date for the scheduling of the by-election. He said no date has been set, and consequently, he has not been able to publish in the Gazette the date of the by-election in accordance with the Local Governance Act. The leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party continue to marshal campaigns in rural constituencies. Prime Minister and leader of the JLP, Dr. Andrew Holness, led a team in Central St. Mary on Wednesday to shore up support for the party's standard-bearer Nathaniel Mirage.
We are not here asking you to give us a third term. What we are saying is, look at our performance. Look at what we have achieved. Look at how we have transformed the country. Look at the changes that we have made. And based upon that reason and rational approach, you will determine whether or not we have been good stewards.
And opposition leader Mark Golding was in northwest Manchester on Wednesday. He toured with sitting MP Michael Phillips, who is seeking a third term in the seat.
We have the momentum. We've been on the ground for months all over Jamaica. We have been speaking to the people about our plans. Apparently some people out there are not hearing, but others who are listening are hearing, and we've launched our manifesto last night, and we're continuing to cover the ground, and we're going to run through the tape until we form government.
The suspected main shooter in the attack on a police constable and his family in Reading St. James on Saturday was yesterday fatally shot during an alleged confrontation with the police in Longshore District, Salt Spring in the parish. More in this report.
He has been identified as a 24-year-old Orlando Thomas, otherwise called Ninja, a carpenter of Hog Isle Mountain, Westmoreland, Chester Castle, Hanover, and Bottom Pen in Salt Spring, St. James. The police say an illegal firearm was retrieved from him. It's reported that the police received information that armed men were seen in the Longshore community and responded about 6:10 p.m. The police say upon arrival, 2 men were seen who immediately opened fire at the team, which took cover and returned fire. Both men reportedly ran off, but one, identified as Thomas, then fell to the ground. The other man escaped on foot. The police say a 9mm Glock 19 pistol with a magazine containing 4 cartridges was found beside Thomas, who had bullet wounds to his upper body. He was pronounced dead at hospital. The police say Thomas was a member of the top junglist Catan Defence Force gang, which is primarily involved in contract killings. 2 other members of the gang, including the leader, Andre Reed, were fatally shot during separate police operations on Monday. The woman, suspected to have orchestrated Sunday's gun attack on the family, was picked up yesterday during an operation in Hanover. The policeman's spouse, 36-year-old Crystal Stevenson, was killed in the attack. The couple's 5-year-old son and the constable remain in hospital. Nakinski Robinson, TVJ News.
Aluminum company UC Rosal expects bauxite train operations to return to normal by next week. Speaking to TVJ News, the company's Director of Human Resources says the process has already begun to repair the rail line following Saturday's derailment of a bauxite train in the Bogwalk Gorge in St. Catherine. Krista Campbell reports.
3 train cars still in the Rio Cobre in St. Catherine 4 days after a bauxite train derailed for unknown reasons on Saturday. But alumina company UC Rosal says the train line has already been repaired and will be tested for safety in the coming days. Despite a pungent smell in the Bogwalk Gorge after the crash, which caused speculations about another case of pollution of the water body, the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, has assured that is not the case. UC Rosal says a crane is already in place to start the removal of the valuable material being transported in the derailed cars to Port Esquivel for export.
The cars have alumina in it. And our first action will be to use a suction truck to take out the alumina out of the cars.
He says the vacuum jet to suction the alumina from the derailed cars should be in place by Thursday afternoon, and investigations into how the crash happened in the first place will continue. Now, a day after the crash, the Jamaica Public Service Company says it restored power to most of the over 4,300 customers whose power was disconnected after the crash damaged a light post in the gorge. However, there was a challenge.
On Sunday, an issue developed, and because the train accident had significantly damaged the backup system for the area, more communities lost power, a total of over 18,000 customers. The affected areas included Bogwalk, Linstead, Ewaton, Guys Hill, and environs.
JPS says normalcy was returned to all its customers by Sunday night. Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
It is time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. It's now time for the Business Minute. The Ministry of Finance says income and profits tax collections for the first 3 quarters of this fiscal year fell $4.1 billion short of the $70.7 billion budgeted. PAYE collections were also below target at $34.6 billion, falling $5.7 billion short of the $40.2 billion projected. But production and consumption taxes, including the special consumption tax and GCT on local and imported goods, were $1.8 billion above budget, with $69.2 billion collected. International trade taxes also exceeded expectations, bringing in $77.5 billion or $826.3 million more than projected. The tax on interest came in at $10.1 billion, surpassing the $8.3 billion projected. Further afield, Air Canada is cancelling flights ahead of a possible flight attendants strike this weekend. The union says the airline's wage offer doesn't match inflation, while Air Canada claims the strike threat is causing travel chaos. The airline has proposed a 38% raise over 4 years, but workers say it's not enough. If unresolved, 130,000 passengers a day could be affected. Public support leans towards the workers. And that's it for the Business Minute. Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Commissioner is defending the actions of the police following the killing of 10 people. The 10 were killed in police-involved shootings during the ongoing state of emergency declared July 18. The police commissioner says the police are bound by the use of force policy, adding that the principle of self-defense is also grounded in law. He adds that the police will act within the full scope of their legal remit to defend themselves. 47 people have been killed during confrontations with the police since the start of the year. On the international scene, Israel is in talks with South Sudan about resettling Palestinians from Gaza as a part of efforts to promote mass immigration after its long conflict with Hamas. The move raises human rights concerns as it involves relocating people from one crisis zone to another. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Antonia Atkinson.
And we head to a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.